Hello and welcome to today's video. The polish of the day is Elden Beast by Lacquer. I am changing my audio up just a little bit again. I was finding that my microphone was picking up things that I didn't really want it picking up, so let me know if it sounds crazy or too loud or anything like that. That would be really appreciated. Also, I'm a little afraid I've become the unauthorized Lacquer channel, the kind where the family and friends are going to come out later and complain about the inauthentic nature of the enterprise. It's mostly that my recent purchases are fueling this, and I do have a few of those left before we move over to other manicures, other brands, and so on. This was not intentional, but it is a brand I like. So it's not like you won't be seeing this on my channel here and there. And now onto the polish itself. It is a Lion Cousin, I believe. So it is a base color that's slightly jelly with a shifty shimmer and a hollow flake. And now for today's embarrassing admission. When I saw that first coat go on, I was like, oh, it has a slightly reddish cast. That's odd. I thought it was an eggplant color. One of the things I do when I make these videos is look for consensus on what a color might be named. For instance, if I say something is aqua, I think that gives people a good idea of what the color is. But other more rare colors are harder to pin down. I tend to just look up every color just in case I'm mistaken about a color's potential name. So as you might imagine, I looked up eggplant, and in doing so, I saw a gradient of eggplant into a dusty pale pink. Suddenly I realized that I didn't know that eggplant was a very reddish purple. Somewhere in the darkest recesses of my brain, I thought it was a very deep indigo. I don't even think I have a good excuse for not realizing this earlier, but I suppose I know now. I think most people are only going to need 2 coats of this. I looked after the second coat to see if I could see any unevenness or any little spots I didn't like, and just could not find anything I found imperfect, even on the ridged nails. Now I want to talk about the hollow flakes. I have said in the past that I'm not the most fond of the Lion Cousins, the Lion siblings. The reason is mostly hollow flakes. I think hollow flakes are not as good as hollow glitter. I know the flakes are much easier to remove, but I really feel they don't give you as much of a visual explosion of color as the glitter do. That's probably why I'm not as drawn to the Lion siblings as I might otherwise be. I would prefer to have hollow glitter. I don't hate the flakes, I just have a much more neutral reaction to them. I like them, I don't love them. In this polish, the main draw for me is the color of the base in contrast to the predominantly gold shimmer particles. Any hollow from the flakes that I happen to see is just a bonus. How much hollow you see in the sun and shade is about how much hollow I was seeing in person. Its overall visual appearance is not hollow bomb, despite how many hollow flakes happen to be in this. I personally seem to really enjoy a dark polish with gold flakes or shimmer. I have a thermal that is quite old that is a black beige with gold flakes. I have a couple of cuticulas on my wish list that I'm hoping to pick up later in the year. We'll see. Both of those involve gold flakes. I think this is just a type of polish I really like. I have a few silver flakes as well, but I just don't seem to have as many of those. And here I am just showing the polish out of focus to give you an idea of how much hollow pigment was in the mix. However, I think it most often doesn't look that hollow. For this polish, if you're coming primarily for the hollow, you might be disappointed. And as we get out into the sunshine full hand shot, you can see how strong that shimmer is and how it sort of takes over the hollow a bit. I barely see the hollow personally. It's definitely there, but it's diminished. The base is looking very much like a black plum, and that shimmer I feel goes from a copper into a true gold and then just into barely a chartreuse where it just has this hint of greeny goodness to it. There are times when I think the shimmer may get almost to like an orange or a peachy color, but I'm not sure how confident I feel in that assessment. I suppose the other thing to note about the shimmer in this one is that it is not a fine shimmer. It's quite a large particle shimmer, bordering on being a flake. As regards what I imagine when I see this polish, this one's a bit weird. There is a very ugly purple toad out there. I'm not sure if I'm going to suggest looking it up because the poor thing really is hideous. The one I'm thinking of is the Indian purple frog. There are other cuter purple frogs, but I have a lot of affection towards the ugly one. I don't know. And this polish reminds me of them in a good way. I feel like this isn't really going to give anyone else warm feelings, but there it is. I will understand if no one else has any interest in having a visual reminder of that frog. And we're now in the shade, and you can see how it boosts the shimmer even more so the hollow is even less apparent, not only because we've taken away the sun, but because that shimmer just stands out so much. There is a part of me that wonders how gorgeous this polish would look with some tiny hollow glitter, but Bee's Knees doesn't really seem to be a brand that likes glitter very much, so I'll take what I can get. Going back to our amphibian friends, a cuter one is the purple harlequin toad from Guyana. It's both purple and pink and extremely adorable. They look like toys. Inside, the purple has deepened to almost black, and now the polish looks very much like my old black thermal with gold flakes. This polish also reminded me very much of Art Nouveau, the very dusty colored backgrounds with the gold trim. It specifically makes me think of the art of Alphonse Mucha. He did a lot of poster work, and this reminds me of his art. There's something about the ornamentation and the asymmetrical stylized images. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it when anyone watches my videos. When a chipmunk spots a threat, they will camp out in a spot where their little voices will carry, and they'll chip, the noise for which they're named. This is to warn other chipmunks of the danger. Often, the other chipmunks will take up the call until all of them are a chorus chipping together. I happened to catch one of them through the window in the midst of what I call the squeakening.
That August is going to be. Is he chipping like mad?
Mm-hmm.